$171.35. That is what Medicare pays for a single Level 5 emergency department visit. Procedure code 99285, facility setting. Your contract pays you based on the work RVU portion, $133.60. The other $37.74 goes to your employer. Every encounter, every shift, at 6,000 work RVUs per year, the national median for emergency medicine. That hidden slice adds up to over $100,000 annually. Revenue your clinical work generates, revenue that never appears on your pay stub. This is not an argument that your group is stealing from you. Practice expense and malpractice costs are real. But if you do not understand this math, you cannot evaluate whether your contract is fair. So let me show you the math. Every procedure code in medicine has 3 RVU components. Work RVUs measure the physician's time, skill, and cognitive effort. Practice expense RVUs cover the overhead, equipment, staff, supplies. Malpractice RVUs cover liability insurance costs. For a Level 5 ED visit, 99285 in the facility setting, the breakdown is 4.00 work RVUs, 0.95 practice expense RVUs, and 0.18 malpractice RVUs. Total 5.13 RVUs. Work accounts for 78%. Practice expense is 18%. Malpractice is 4%. One detail that matters, the practice expense component changes based on setting. In the facility setting, the ED, it is 0.95 RVUs because the hospital absorbs most overhead costs. In a non-facility setting, an office, the same code carries 2.47 practice expense RVUs because the practice bears those costs directly. You work in a facility, your PE component is 0.95, not 2.47. Do not confuse the two when reading fee schedules. Here's the key point. Your employment contract pays you a rate per work RVU. It does not pay you on practice expense or malpractice RVUs. Those components generate revenue for the group, but they are not part of your compensation formula. Let us do the per encounter math. The 2026 Medicare conversion factor is $33.40 per RVU. Work component 4.00 times $33.40 equals $133.60. Practice expense plus malpractice 1.13 RVUs times $33.40 equals $37.74. Total Medicare payment for one Level 5 visit, $171.35. Your group collects $37.74 per encounter beyond what it pays you for. Now scale it. The median emergency physician produces 6,000 work RVUs per year. The PE plus malpractice to work RVU ratio for emergency medicine is approximately 0.28. Factor in the commercial payer multiplier, Medicare rates times roughly 1.8 for a blended payer mix, and the annual PE plus malpractice revenue generated by a median producing EM physician is approximately $101,000. At the 75th percentile, 7,500 work RVUs. That number climbs to approximately $126,000 per year. That is real revenue. Generated by your clinical activity, collected by your employer, not reflected in your per work RVU rate. Understanding hidden revenue matters, but it is not directly negotiable. What is negotiable is your dollars per work RVU rate, and the range is enormous. The National Emergency Medicine median is approximately $58 per work RVU, but your rate should not be compared to the national median. It should be compared to the range for your employer type. Contract management groups typically pay $50 to $65. Below $52 is a red flag. You are almost certainly being underpaid relative to what the group collects. Independent Democratic groups run $60 to $80. Hospital-employed positions sit between $55 and $70. Rural and critical access facilities often pay $70 to $90, reflecting the difficulty of recruitment. Here's why this matters in raw dollars. A $10 per work RVU gap, the difference between $55 and $65, for example, equals $60,000 per year at median production of 6,000 work RVUs. That is not a rounding error. That is a year of medical school tuition. That is the difference between a competitive contract and one that quietly extracts value from your work year after year. So what do you do with this information? Step 1, find your dollars per work RVU rate. If your contract lists a base salary and a work RVU threshold, divide the salary by the threshold. That is your effective rate. Step 2, compare it to the range for your employer type, not the national median, your employer type. A $58 rate at a contract management group is solid. A $58 rate at an independent Democratic group means you are at the bottom of the range and leaving real money on the table. The groups that pay the least are counting on you not knowing these numbers. The data is public, the math is straightforward. The only question is whether you are willing to do it. That is the RVU math your contract does not show you. The numbers are real, the gap is measurable, and once you see it, you cannot unsee it. If you want to go deeper, the EM contract red flag checklist is free. Link in the description. It walks you through the specific warning signs in EM employment contracts and gives you the exact questions to ask before you sign.